Over the past couple of years, I have really enjoyed playing the Call of Duty Battle Royales. Last year with Black Ops 4, we were playing Blackout, and it was a very interesting and new experience to the Call of Duty franchise. And then this year with Modern Warfare, they added something new called Warzone. Now, both are Battle Royales, but what I will say is both play extremely different. And I think one of the biggest differences between these two Battle Royales is the maps. In Blackout, you had a lot of large, sprawling, really open environments that lent themselves very heavily to sniper rifles. Whereas in Warzone, you have a lot of really highly populated city areas, like in downtown, where there's literally 16 or more story buildings that you can be on top of, be inside, be underneath, and it makes the games play incredibly different. But that's actually not the only reason why these maps are different. In Warzone, the one thing you may not actually know about this game is that the entire Warzone map is actually based off of a real-world location close to Russia. But not in Russia. It's a location called Donetsk, Ukraine. Nope, not how you pronounce it, dude. Oh, is it Donetsk? Still wrong, you moron. Alright, I guess we're gonna have to do this again.
Donetsk.
Donetsk.
Okay, thank you, Google. And as far as the city of
Donetsk.
Ukraine goes, this is an interesting city. So first of all, the country of Ukraine is located just to the east of Russia. And as far as this country goes, it is super interesting because up until 2013,
Donetsk.
was growing at a massive rate. And the urban sprawl of this country was becoming beautiful, huge, and very nice. That is until Russian separatists actually invaded Ukraine. And for example, this beautiful airport that we were looking at here turned into this basically overnight. And this is what the airport actually looks like in Warzone. And this war-torn area of Ukraine is actually the entire setting for Warzone. Now, before we dive into some of the map's more real-world locations, I just wanted to let you guys know that every night, Monday through Friday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, I actually stream some Warzone over on Twitch. If you want to check out any of my live streams, it is the first link down in the description. We'll be live at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time today. And today we're going to be doing a little bit of a drinking stream. So if you want to come hang out, watch some games, have some drinks with me, first link down in the description, and hopefully I see you there tonight. So I figure a good place to start is with kind of the centerpiece of the Warzone map, which I kind of consider to be Stadium. Yes, it's not the most popular location on the map, but it is a big location on the map. And as you can see here, this is the exact same stadium that is actually in
Donetsk.
and it's known as Donbass Arena, and it's for football or soccer. And the interesting thing about this is in real life, as you probably noticed by the pictures, it actually has an open roof, unlike in Warzone where it is completely closed. So it makes me wonder whether or not at some point this stadium will actually open up and you'll be able to go inside. And as you can see here, this is what the inside of the stadium actually looks like. It would be a pretty insane area as to where you could go within the game. It would also explain why this closed building sometimes has zones that actually finish in the middle. But I think the coolest part about this stadium is how they nailed the area around it. There's actually a park that surrounds Donbass Stadium, and as you can see from this kind of aerial view, it looks very similar to the outside of the building in Warzone, even down to the certain walkways that go into the actual stadium. I really think that they nailed this area. The other big one, and this is probably the biggest one, and we talked about it kind of at the beginning of the video, is the airport. I really do believe that they based this area of the map on this airport, and it is actually a pretty important area in the actual city as well. This airport was known as
Donetsk.
International Airport, and this was one of the main areas that was actually bombed by the Russians during the war. But when we look at the kind of aerial image of it, you can see how it actually fits into the Warzone map. Off to the right-hand side there, that's where you have Storage Town. Superstore is a little bit off into the distance, and then the main area of airport and all of the airport hangars are off to the left-hand side of the screen there. it's really amazing when you look at this image to see how they actually recreated this area, even down to the parking lots off to the bottom right-hand side of the airport. Now, from the architecture, they didn't just take the airport from after the war. You can actually see this is the front-hand side of the airport, and you can see the pillars that kind of match the pillars we see in the Warzone map as well. On top of that, the air traffic control tower, you can see here massive similarities in these two areas, even with the birds flying around the top of the tower, just like in Warzone. Speaking of Superstore, this is actually another area taken right out of
Donetsk.
And this image that you're seeing here was actually made by Charlie Intel. I'll have a link to their article down in the description. They're actually the first people to find a bunch of these images. So like I said, you can check that article out down in the description. But as you can tell, this is, well, a Superstore, but taken right out of
Donetsk.
And obviously there is massive similarities, the main of which is the color similarities between the two different Superstores. Also, even going down and looking at the parking lot, you can see they have the kind of same parking structures in both that kind of overhang the cars. Another rather big building taken right out of the middle of downtown Donetsk is the actual Ukrainian Parliament building. You can see a massive similarity down to the roof, down to even the statues that stand in front of the doors. Now, in Call of Duty, this is actually a bank. In the real world, it's the Ukrainian Parliament building, as you are seeing here. And this is probably one of the buildings with the most similarities between the game and real life. Now, there are also a lot of much smaller areas that also match. First off, the one we have here with almost the most similarity is this bank from
Donetsk.
And as you can see, it is almost exactly the same. The lattice stairwork on top of that, the green building with the exact same type of roof, it is nearly identical. One that isn't quite as identical is Dam. The dam in Warzone is much bigger than the dam that they based it off of in real life, called the Dnieper, D-N-I-E-P-E-R hydroelectric station, which is once again in
Donetsk.
Some other similarities include the train station, as we are seeing here. The roof almost looks exactly the same, with the same type of building. And finally, Quarry. There's several buildings throughout
Donetsk.
that match the type of buildings that Quarry are. Most of the economy of
Donetsk.
is based off of metallurgic things, so whether that's mining coal, rocks, or things like that, that is what the city was actually built off of. So of course there's going to be a lot of buildings that are actually similar to Quarry, just like in the game. Now there are also some areas on this map that aren't necessarily right from
Donetsk.
but rather either other areas in the Ukraine or from Russia. The first couple examples are from Chernobyl. Of course, the Ferris wheel that has become famous in Call of Duty games, specifically Modern Warfare games, in Chernobyl is once again in Warzone, which is also taken from real life, as you guys are seeing here. On top of that, there is a pool building that was a part of Chernobyl, and an interesting thing is, I actually have some pictures from before and after the Chernobyl incident happened, and as you can see, there is a very large difference here. And once again, this is in Warzone as well. But there's also some things that are found around Russia, specifically some Russian war monuments that are found throughout the map. The one that you are seeing here is actually from Yugoslavia and is specifically a war monument to the Battle of Sujeska, probably butchered that. But all of the monuments that you actually find throughout this map are actually based off of real world monuments, including the one that you're seeing here. So that is pretty much it, and it lends to a couple of questions as to what is next for the Warzone map. Because based off of what we are seeing here and the way that
Donetsk.
is portrayed in the Warzone map, this is actually either mid or pre-war. Yes, there's some explosions that have gone off, but compared to the destruction that we actually see in real life, for example, this was Superstore before the war. This is Superstore after the war. I'm curious to see what happens to the map as Infinity Ward makes changes to it. Is it going to get more destroyed, less destroyed? Is it going to change? Are they going to add locations? I am very curious to actually see what happens to the map. On top of that, I would also love to see the stadium that we talked about before open up just like it is in real life and have a whole internal area or soccer field just like in the real world. But ladies and gentlemen, that is pretty much it. This was an interesting video to make for me because, first of all, I had to look up the history of a country I know very little about, and it was super, super interesting. And I'm sure I missed a couple of locations around the map that are once again taken from
Donetsk.
But at this point, I'm curious to hear what you guys have to say about this. Do you see all of the similarities like I do in all of these images? To me, looking at the architecture, the way the buildings are made, and just how much detail went into these different buildings, it's pretty clear that either someone that worked at Infinity Ward deeply looked at these pictures or someone actually went there to get inspiration for this map. But I'm curious to hear what you guys have to say. Let me know down in the comments. Also, if you enjoyed this video, want to see more videos like this one, the best way to show me is by hitting that like button. If you're new to the channel, like what you see here, want to stay up to date on all my videos, the best way to do so is make sure you hit that subscribe button. Make sure you turn notifications on. I hope you enjoyed the video, and until next time, peace out.
We are reaching for